behind the rail, and we'll get going. To give our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes Mr. Jordan Peterson, stake president within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He is here today as the guest of Councilman Al Taubenberger. Would all guests and members and visitors please rise?
O God, the eternal Father, we bow our heads at the beginning of this important meeting, and we ask for a blessing upon those who will participate today. We do so in gratitude, Father, for this wonderful city in which we live and work. And we are grateful for all those who give of their time and talent to make this a better place, to improve lives. We are grateful for the history of this city, for our founding fathers and mothers, for their faith in Thee, and for the principles upon which this city and nation were founded. We ask at this time a blessing upon this body, that they may receive Thy inspiration. They may have wisdom in the decisions that they make as they counsel together, and as they look to improve and make changes that will benefit the lives of all of the inhabitants of this city. We ask for a blessing upon all civic leaders, upon those who are civil servants, those who protect us, and all those who are working on our behalf. We ask a blessing upon the inhabitants of the city, that they may be blessed with those things that they ask of Thee. And we now close this invocation and do so in the sacred name of our Master Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for those inspiring words. Council will be at ease. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, September 15, 2016, and the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, September 15, 2016 be approved.
Second. Thank you. It's been moved and probably second that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, September 15, 2016 stand approved. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and the journal is approved. The next order of business is a request for leave of absence, and the chair recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the majority, a leave of absence is requested for Council Member Mark Squilla.
Thank you. Councilman Leaf shall be granted, and the chair recognizes Councilman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Republicans, there are no requests for leave of absence.
Thank you. The chair thanks the gentleman. At this time, I would like to dispense with the regular order of business, and I would like to welcome and thank everyone who has taken time out of their busy day to come down and witness their government in action. We hope that your stay here is a knowledgeable one and an enjoyable one, so much so that you come back again. So thank you so much. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker, who will present a resolution recognizing Raheem Thompson. Would Mr. Thompson and those that accompanying him please join the Councilwoman at the podium? And joining Councilwoman Parker, we have Councilman O, Councilman Don, Councilman Johnson, and Councilwoman Gim, and Councilwoman Blackwell.
It's indeed an honor and a privilege that we gather this morning to honor a gentleman that I first learned about on July the 1st after reading an article in a magazine called Slam Online Magazine. Now, I had never read the article, Councilman Johnson, but apparently if you're active in the world of basketball in Philadelphia and in the nation, you know what Slam Online is. And the article talked about Raheem Thompson's work with something called the Chosen League. And I thought I had knew for some time that the Chosen Leagues that I knew about, and I just mentioned this to Council President Clark, was the Sunny Hill League was the Chosen League. That's what I knew growing up. And then I knew the 16th Street League that we would go and visit as young people. That was sponsored and organized by Brother Kentu. And if you're in this chamber, you know of or who Brother Kentu was. And so I was inspired by it, and with that in mind, we were able to reach him and ask him to be here. And he's here with his beautiful wife, mother, but the most beautiful folks who are in the chamber today are the two little ones with the yellow and the polka dot dresses. Give them a round of applause. They're front and center. Mr. President, the resolution reads as follows. A resolution recognizing and congratulating Raheem Thompson for founding the Chosen League, the only sponsored high school basketball league in the country, free of charge to the players and fans. And whereas Raheem Thompson founded the Chosen League in 2002 as a platform for the top high school basketball players in the region to play against one another in the 9th District at Cherry Shore Park, which is located at 10th Street and Olney Avenue in the Olney section of Philadelphia. And
whereas Mr. Thompson was inspired to create the Chosen League by the teachings and faith he gained from La Peristyle Haitian Sanctuary, where he is a Gros Hongan and lifetime member, and
whereas the Chosen League is not only a forum for top high school athletes to showcase their talents, but also a venue for the top players in the region to play one another. Additionally, many of the former players come back to coach and teach the next generation. And
whereas many players hope to get noticed by coaches and get a scholarship to play basketball and get an education in college. Since 2002, 1,300 players from the league have earned full or partial scholarships to college. And
whereas several collegiate players have been a part of the Chosen League, including Creighton floor general Maurice Watson, University of Miami point guard Jaquan Newton, and Duke forward Emil Jefferson. And
whereas several NBA players have also been a part of the Chosen League, including Miami Heat guard Wayne Ellington, Toronto Raptors guard Kyle Lowry, Philadelphia 76ers guard Gerald Henderson, Washington Wizards forward Markieff Morris, and Detroit Pistons forward Marcus Morris.
And whereas the games at 10th and Albany have become annual rites of passages for Philadelphia area high school ball players, and we hope this tradition continues for many more years to come, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Philadelphia that it hereby honors and recognizes Raheem Thompson for founding the Chosen League, and further resolved that an engrossed copy of this resolution be presented to Raheem Thompson as evidence of the sincere sentiments of this legislative body. And let me just also state for the record, I did not acknowledge Grandmom. Thank you so very much for being here, because it all starts with the wisdom. And I hope everyone paid attention to, aside from the skill set of the best and the brightest playing, I think when you heard Councilwoman Blackwell mention that 1,300 players from the league have earned full or partial scholarships to college, that's what makes this so unique, considering the high cost of higher education in our nation. So thank you so very much.
Thank you. And the chair recognizes Mr. Thompson for remarks. Hey, sir.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank God, Christ, and laws for allowing us all to be here today. I am truly humbled by this, because when I first started the Chosen League, it was just a passion and a dream to do something for the community. Because like she said, the Chosen League, yes, basketball is a platform, but what it does is unifies the community, and that's what this is all about. The Chosen League brings out different cultures, different races, different ages and everything, but it's all because of the love of the basketball. But for me, the biggest pride I get is just bringing the community together. We hear so much about the violence that's going on and everything, and there's so much negativity, but there are positive things going on here. And for the youth, you have to present them, you have to give them the right things to, show them that you could do the right thing here. And that's why I take more pride than anything with the Chosen League. So I'm very humbled by getting this award today. I'm kind of speechless with this. If you know me, I'm normally not speechless, but things happen sometimes. And before I leave, I just like to let you know on Thanksgiving Day, I will be doing a dinner at the playground where we'll be serving everybody and anybody. So let's please pass the word and everything. I'm accepting all donations. So far, we have about 37 people that have committed to it. So it's just free for everyone. It's just a part of giving back, and that's what life is about. It's about charity. So thank you.
All right. Council will be at ease. Thank you very much, and again, congratulations. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilman Heenan, who presented a resolution recognizing National Voter Registration Day with City Commissioners Al Smith and Commissioner Deely and Anthony Clark. Let me see. Sorry, sir. Please join the councilman at the podium. And joining Councilman Heenan, we have Councilman Taubenberger and Councilwoman Reynolds Brown. And Councilwoman Kim.
Now we can eat. So good morning, everybody. And, before I start to recognize that Tuesday, September 27th, 2016, as National Voter Registration Day, I want to thank all the commissioners for their hard work and the employees that run our elections with the highest integrity every single day. I have a point of personal privilege before I begin. Somebody who worked for me and I've been friends with for many, many years, Lisa Deely, has been elected to the Commissioner's office and has been discussing for years about the voter turnout and the lack of turnout with our youth and how we communicate with them on an educational purpose. So in this chambers we talk about our preschool and early education, and I think that the commissioners collectively, with Lisa Deely taking the lead, as thinking outside the box with a lot more innovation. And I'm so proud of each commissioner for bringing it to the schools as a partner, holding mock elections, not only in our schools for soon-to-be new voters with a low turnout, because it's kind of discouraging when we have lack of participation in the electoral process, all right, but educating on why it's important. And why it's important, because so it brings us to hear why we make bills and policy and legislation in this body. So it's all kind of connected together. So the commissioners will be joining and partnering with our school district, holding elections and bringing the process to them and in neighborhoods throughout the entire city of Philadelphia. So recognizing Tuesday, September 27th, 2016 as National Voter Registration Day, whereas National Voter Registration Day has begun in 2012, and whereas the need to establish a National Voter Registration Day became apparent after confusion has arose in regard to various voter registration deadlines, and
whereas it was discovered that a significant number of people who were registered to vote in the 2008 presidential election were not aware of the deadline to register to be eligible to vote in that historic election. And whereas the Philadelphia City Commissioner's Office, comprised of Chairman Anthony Clark, Vice Chairman Al Schmidt, and Commissioner Lisa Deely, believe it is their responsibility to get as many residents of the city as possible registered for this upcoming November general election. And
thank you. And just a personal note, being a son of immigrants who came from a place in 1930s Germany where elections weren't allowed at all and no one had any voice for anything, this resolution introduced by Bobby Heenan is very, very meaningful to me personally. Whereas the city commissioners have worked to create a partnership with the school district of Philadelphia. The goal of this collaboration is to get more young people registered to vote out to the polls on election day. And whereas a study of youth voter turnout showed that only 20% of 18 to 29-year-olds cast ballots in the 2014 election, that was the lowest turnout rate ever recorded in an election for this demographic. And
whereas the registration among eligible voters is 71%, but when looking at eligible voters ages 18 through 24, that number falls to just 59%. And whereas reports on voter turnout show that when registered, young people will go to the polls to vote. For example, in 2008, 83% of registered 18 to 24-year-olds voted in that election. Now, therefore,
be resolved by the Council of the City of Philadelphia that we hereby recognize Tuesday, September 27, 2016, as National Voter Registration Day. Resolved further that an engrossed copy of this resolution be presented to the City Commissioners of Philadelphia as an acknowledgement of this action. And thank you very much, and congratulations, and make sure that we communicate with our youth, with our neighbors and our communities, how important it is to come out and exercise in their rights that our country fought for every single day. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Daly for remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President Clark, and thank you to my former boss and forever friend, Bobby Heenan, and this entire body. We would also like to thank Evelyn Sample Oates. One phone call suggesting we partner with the school district and do something for National Voter Registration Day. Evelyn was at my office, eager to get started on a plan. Thank you, Evelyn. Voter turnout numbers are low nationwide, and when looking at our younger voting population, those statistics get far worse. We need to do all that we can to engage and encourage our young people to participate in this process, the foundation of our democracy. Our partnership on National Voter Registration Day, registering eligible students to vote in high schools throughout the city, is a great way to begin the process with a simple message to our young people. It's your power. Own your vote. Thank you, and we look forward to Tuesday.
Council be at ease. Before we have the formal presentation, Commissioner Clark wanted to make an announcement.
Okay, good morning, everyone. To find your polling place, ward division, and to see your ballot, please go to www.philadelphiavotes.com. The last day to register to vote is Tuesday, October 11th, 2016. Monday, October the 10th, is a holiday, Columbus Day, of course. Last day to apply for a citizen's absentee ballot is 5 p.m., November the 1st, 2016. Also, we have here a voter education book for Philadelphia. If you need one, you can come to either office. Al Smith, Vice Chairman, Lisa Daly, and also myself, Anthony Clark, Chairman of the City Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go down front.
Thank you. At this time, for our last presentation, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Kiona Sanchez, who will present a resolution recognizing Eddie Alvarez. With Mr. Alvarez and those accompanying him, please join the Councilwoman at the podium. And joining the Councilwoman, we have Councilman O'Neill, Councilman Heenan, Councilman Dom.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In keeping in tune with the celebration of National Hispanic Heritage Month, and on Monday when we raised the flag, albeit inside the building because of the rain, the Puerto Rican flag on the third floor. At that time, Mayor Kenny joined us, and he spoke about the relationship between the Irish immigration to the United States and the struggles of the Puerto Rican community and some of the shared values. And Eddie Alvarez, we have the best of two worlds. He is Irish and Puerto Rican descent, and we are extremely proud of his humble beginnings in the 7th Councilmanic District. A couple of weeks ago, Councilman Heenan joined him at a celebration hosted by Local 22 in recognition of his achievements to date. Councilman Dom, who's also a fan, recently posted an amazing video about Eddie and Eddie's walk through his neighborhood across the street from the Ascension campus on GM Westmoreland. And, you know, as Eddie walked the neighborhood, he talked about all of the good things he learned growing up in a changing neighborhood with all of his challenges, never talking negatively about it, but really looking at the things that made him stronger, whether it was how he ran through the neighborhood to his elementary school. And what touched me was how he talked about how in his stoop, as he sat down in his step, he thought about all of the possibilities that he had in the world. So, you know, kids have their worlds at their fingertip. Eddie sat at his step and he knew he was going to be great and that he was going to make his parents proud and he was going to make his neighborhood proud. And I like, you know, if you haven't had a chance to see the video, you should, because that's exactly the type of mentor and leader we want to have in the community for the young men who still sit on the stoop in those neighborhoods, don't choose to be there, but really do and should have access to the world. So I'm extremely proud and had an opportunity to share with him. And we waited a little bit because his wife and daughter were going to join us, Jamie, so we're very, very happy to have him here. And with that, again, another person from the 7th Councilmanic District. We got it going on. Recognizing and congratulating and honoring the outstanding career of Eddie, the Underground King, Alvarez, on being named the new UFC lightweight champion. Whereas Eddie Alvarez was born to Puerto Rican and an Irish family in 1984 in Kensington, attended Northeast Catholic High School. In high school, which by the way, Councilman Heenan, or Catholic grad. In high school, he was a two-time National Prep All-American wrestler and placed 6th at the 2000 and 2001 National Prep School Wrestling Championships at the weight of 145.
Hey, 145 seems such a long time ago, but anyway, whereas soon after graduating from high school, he began his professional career with only 8 months of a professional MMA training on December 14, 2003 at ROC 5 Ring of Combat with his first round knockout victory. And whereas Eddie, the Underground King Alvarez, has brought recognition to the city by winning the UFC lightweight title on July 7, 2016 at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Bring it on, McGregor. Bring it on, McGregor.
But before I say the whereas clause, Eddie may have grown up in the 7th Councilmanic District, as I grew up in the 6th, one parish over, as we say. And now Eddie lives in the 10th, one parish over from me. But when Councilwoman Sanchez called, I said, you take it. This is about a lot of things, but it's really about Hispanic pride and Puerto Rican pride. So we get our priorities straight around here, even though we have strong feelings. Whereas Alvarez claimed the title after a monumental victory over Rafael dos Anjos. Thank you, Bobby, for pointing that out. Alvarez threw a flurry of punches with one clean strike to finish Rafael dos Anjos to clinch the title 3 minutes and 49 seconds into round 1. Could have waited a little while. I mean, just people were just starting to sit down, while also receiving the Performance of the Night award. Whereas Alvarez has a 28-4 record spanning 13 years of MMA fighting, with a number of championship wins, UFC lightweight championship, 2 Bellator lightweight titles, an MFC welterweight championship title, and a reality fighting welterweight championship title, and
as the UFC lightweight champion, Eddie Alvarez is a role model for the youth of Kensington and the city of Philadelphia due to his athletic achievements over the past 13 years. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the City of Philadelphia hereby recognizes, congratulates, and honors the outstanding career of Edward Eddie Alvarez, capping it off by becoming the new UFC lightweight champion, and
further resolved that an engrossed copy of this resolution will be presented to Eddie the Underground King Alvarez as evidence of our sincere respect and admiration from this legislative body.
And the chair recognizes Mr. Alvarez for remarks.
Thank you. Not huge on words. That's why I chose the career I chose. But when I originally started fighting, it was just to compete and do something that I enjoyed doing. I didn't realize that it would manifest into something like this or a world title. I realized as I got older and I had children that when I stepped into the octagon and I fought for the city of Philadelphia, I was bringing the city together. From North Philly to South Philly, Fishtown, Port Richmond, Northeast, everybody tuned in and everybody watched as I would go out in the octagon and fight for our city. And I think it inspired kids and gave people hope, and took a lot of people who didn't have a lot of resources and helped them dream for something better. So thank you guys, the councilmen and councilwomen, and it's my honor to hold this belt and fight for the city of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Council, be at ease. Thank you very much. And the chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, for indulging me a hot second, and I won't take long, even though it matters much. I want to have acknowledged today someone I've known since she was 11 years old, had the dubious distinction of working for me maybe 25 years of her life in one capacity or another. She is not like a daughter. She is a daughter, not by birth or biology, but by acceptance, which is even better. If you don't believe me, ask anybody she ever tried to date whether or not I was like a dad. If you ask anybody about her, she's the kind of person that is diligent in her tasks, wise beyond her years, and able to take on most tasks and complete them. In fact, when it came down to rough times and I had to go in some of them bars, I'd rather have her than Al Spivey by my side, but she was a lot tougher. She has gone on and all grown up and is moving into possibly a new capacity within soon to be, God willing, Senator Street's capacity. And she will hopefully be the Deputy Chief of Staff. I introduced to some, reacquaint to others, Ms. Rona Austin. Please stand. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman, and congratulations. We'll miss you, but the Senator's office will be right up the turnpike. All right, so thank you. Congratulations. And Senator, thank you. All right, sir. Thank you. The next order of business is communications, and the chair requests that the Sergeant of Arms delivers the messages from the mayor to the chief clerk. Mr. Decker, please read those messages.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, I'm pleased to advise you that on September 21, 2016, I signed the remaining bills which were passed by Council at its session on September 8, 2016, except Bill number 160551, which I have returned without my signature. And I am transmitting for the consideration of your honorable body a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the New Kensington Fishtown urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 2056 East Sargent Street, and a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the West Parkside urban renewal area identified by house numbers and street addresses as 1701 through 17, 1702, 1706 through 10, 1712 through 16, 1719, and 1719 through 29 North 52nd Street. 1718 North Crichton Street, 1722 through 24 North Crichton Street, 5216, 5218 through 20, 5222 through 34, and 5238 Parkside Avenue. And an ordinance amending Chapter 19, 3500 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Hospital Assessments to make changes to conform to state law, including by providing an exemption for certain cancer hospitals. And an ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development for use by the city of premises located at 456 North 5th Street, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. You have any additional communications?
I have none, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. 1 second. Thank you, Mr. Decker. The next order of business will be the introduction of bills and resolutions. And the chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Good morning, Mr. President. I have no bills or resolutions this morning.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I have 2 bills and 2 non-privileged resolutions.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance to amend the Institutional Development District Master Plan of the University of Pennsylvania by allowing for the construction of the new patient pavilion located at 1 Convention Avenue and making other minor adjustments to the master plan.
Refer to committee.
And an ordinance authorizing revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 246 by striking from the City Plan and vacating the legally open portion of Saybrook Street from 45th Street to Melville Street and striking from the City Plan 45th Street from Woodland Avenue to Linmore Street.
Refer to committee.
And a privileged resolution recognizing and acknowledging the victims of the shooting rampage that happened in West Philadelphia at 52nd and Sansom Streets on Friday night.
This week's final passes calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fees simple title to city on lots of pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situate in the 46th Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
And that will be on next week's final passes calendar. The chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I offer 1 resolution on your behalf.
Thank you, Councilman.
A non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fees simple title to sitting on lots of pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon situated in the 32nd Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
And that will be on next week's final passes calendar. The chair recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Council President. I have no bills or resolutions, but if I can go out of order and introduce on behalf of Councilman Squilla, while I have the mic, 1 bill and 1 resolution.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the city to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development for use by the city of premises located at 456 North 5th Street.
Refer to committee.
And a non-privileged resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the New Kensington Fishtown urban renewal area identified by house number and street address as 2056 East Sargent Street.
And that will be on next week's final passes calendar. The chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. 3 resolutions, 1 privileged. Co-sponsored by too many people to recognize.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privileged resolution recognizing and honoring Jeff Brown and ShopRite Partners in caring for their dedication and commitment to ending hunger in the Philadelphia community and across the country.
This week's final passes calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution denouncing Pennsylvania House Bill number 2258, which would allow for the National Rifle Association and other similar organizations to challenge local gun regulations and hold municipalities liable for their legal fees.
And that will be on next week's final passes calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the West Parkside urban renewal area identified by house numbers and street addresses as 1701 through 17, 1702, 1706 through 10, 1712 through 16, and 1719 through 29 North 52nd Street, 1718 North Creighton Street, 1722 through 24 North Creighton Street, 5216 Parkside Avenue, 5218 through 20 Parkside Avenue, 5222 through 5234 Parkside Avenue, and 5238 Parkside Avenue.
And that will also be in next week's final passes calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move that the rules of council be suspended and to permit consideration on final passage calendar. Today, the resolution for the Parkside Urban Renewal Area Resolution.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the rules of council are suspended to allow first reading on this session of council for that particular resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Let me sit down. That's it. Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. I have two non-privileged resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privilege resolution recognizing October 2016 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Philadelphia and honoring Susan G. Komen Philadelphia for its charitable work in the field of breast cancer research and education.
This week's final passes calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution also naming the 2200 block of McClellan Street, James C. Hudgens Way.
And that will be on next week's final passes calendar. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Kiona Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one resolution on your behalf.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
A non-privileged resolution appointing Paulette Adams, Jennifer Cates, Michael Kuntz, Angel Rodriguez, and Courtney Voss to the Board of Directors of the Philadelphia Land Bank.
And that resolution will be on next week's final passes calendar. And the chair recognizes Councilman Gray.
Thank you, Council President. I have one privileged resolution.
Thank you, Councilman.
A privileged resolution authorizing the Committee on Education and the Committee on the Disabled and Persons with Special Needs to hold joint hearings regarding the Every Student Succeeds Act.
And that will be on this week's final passes calendar. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one privileged resolution sponsored by Councilwoman Blackwell, Green, Quinones Sanchez, and Reynolds Brown, and supported by all members of council.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
A privileged resolution recognizing and congratulating Perryman Building and Construction for being awarded the initiative for a competitive inner city and Fortune Magazine's Inner City 100 honor.
And that will also be in this week's final passes calendar. The chair recognizes Councilman Donald.
Good morning, Council President. I have no bills or resolutions today.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gill.
Good morning, Council President. I have one non-privileged resolution co-sponsored by council members Parker and Blackwell.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
A non-privileged resolution calling upon the United States federal government to suspend construction on the Dakota Access Pipeline and expressing solidarity with the indigenous resistance in the Dakota Access Pipeline.
And that will be on next week's final passes calendar. The chair recognizes Councilman Taubenberger.
Thank you, Council President. Good morning, and good morning, colleagues. I have one bill which came as a result of the article of Mr. Jacob Edelman from the Philadelphia Inquirer, dated August the 21st, and basically the city needs to secure every available tax dollar. It's closing the loopholes in the realty tax, transfer tax. No one wants to raise taxes, but it is an important way to collect all taxes and already owed to the city. I'm introducing this on behalf of all Philadelphia, being co-sponsored by yourself, Councilman Squilla, Councilwoman Gim, Councilwoman Blackwell, Councilman O'Neill, Councilwoman Parker, Councilman Heenan, and Councilwoman Reynolds Brown. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
An ordinance amending Chapter 19-1400 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Realty Transfer Tax by closing certain loopholes, including by amending the definition of value as it relates to acquired real estate companies, the definitions of real estate company and acquired real estate company, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. That bill will be referred to committee. Chair recognizes Councilman O'Neill.
I have no bills or resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer 4 resolutions and 1 bill.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
An ordinance amending Chapter 16-300 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Maintenance and Supervision by adding a new section requiring that all city buildings and facilities with bathrooms open to the public have baby diaper changing stations, and requiring the installation of diaper changing stations in connection with capital projects.
Refer to committee.
And a privilege resolution recognizing September 21, 2016 as World Alzheimer's Day and supporting Alzheimer's advocates, families, and caregivers in the city and around the world in their struggle for recognition, treatment, and an eventual cure for Alzheimer's disease.
And today's final passes calendar.
And a privilege resolution honoring Greta Greenberger on her retirement after 25 years as tour director of City Hall and recognizing her dedication to the promotion and preservation of the history, heritage, and beauty of the city.
Today's final passes calendar.
And a privilege resolution declaring October 2016 as Mural Arts Month in Philadelphia.
Today's final passes calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution calling on Congress to reinstate abortion service coverage for women enrolled in public insurance programs by enacting the Equal Access to Abortion Coverage in Health Insurance Act, and further calling on the Pennsylvania General Assembly to provide abortion coverage in public insurance programs in Pennsylvania and lift the ban on such coverage in private insurance plans sold through the Pennsylvania Health Insurance Exchange.
And that will be on next week's final passes calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much. I offer 3 privileged resolutions and 1 non-privileged resolution. I'd like to be heard on the non-privileged resolution.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
A privileged resolution authorizing council's committees on public safety, commerce and economic development, and global opportunities and the creative and innovative economy to hold public hearings concerning recent home invasions and armed robberies that have victimized Asian business owners in the city.
This week's final passes calendar.
And a privileged resolution commemorating the 2016 Philly Black Expo and thanking the Philly Black Business Network for cultivating the city's black business leaders.
This week's final passes calendar.
And a privileged resolution recognizing and honoring Nicholas Panarella, Jr., Esquire.
And will also be in this week's final passes calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution urging the Pennsylvania General Assembly to reject House Bill number 1885's proposal to withhold all state funding from Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much, Council President. My resolution simply has to do with the issue of cutting off funds for Philadelphia. Different people, elected officials, may have different opinions. I don't always agree with the mayor. And that's one issue. However, punishing all Philadelphians for political disagreements or perspective disagreements is a very serious matter. And as, in particular, a Republican, I'm very concerned about House Bill 1885 making it out of committee. This bill, which disagrees with Mayor Kenny's designation of Philadelphia as a sanctuary city, would cut off all state funding to Philadelphia for an indefinite period of time. That is $2.7 billion annually. It includes $220 million to the general fund, $4.5 million to the county liquid fuel, $1 million to the water fund, $33.9 million to the special gasoline tax fund, which I believe repairs our roads, $1.3 billion to Health Choices behavioral health revenues, and $731 million for grants revenue and $250,000 for aviation. It is a large amount of money, and it affects people in Philadelphia and including the district of the bill's sponsor. It affects kids with autism, after-school programs, seniors with disabilities, police, fire, emergency, medical, so forth and so on. I would like to point out that it is critical for our city government to let the General Assembly know that whatever the different opinions are that occur in a democracy, cutting off funds is not something that should be done in a trifling way. And when we had a budget impasse, many social service agencies and providers, including those in that district, suffered. And it seems to be a popular thing in Harrisburg to talk about Philadelphia and punishing Philadelphia. But again, as a Republican, I want to make it clear to the Republicans throughout our state that if you have an issue, and I have my disagreements, we'll do it in the democratic process, but you don't cut off funding to an entire city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman, and that resolution will be on next week's final passage calendar. We have other members. Okay. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson. No? Okay. And Chair recognizes Councilwoman Keona Sanchez.
Thank you, Council President. I feel compelled to add my voice to this concern and join the mayor. Councilman O called it ridiculous. Trifling. The mayor has called it ridiculous. I just really want to clarify, because I think the advocates, we're doing a bad job of really explaining this whole sanctuary city, and as it gets politicized. The federal government, after 9/11 and the Patriot Act, has the ability, the tools, to get anybody they want, at any time they want. What we've essentially said as a city, and I'm proud of, what some people might call the defiant behavior of Philadelphia, and I absolutely want to support the mayor, and Councilwoman Blackwell and others, Gim, have stood up with the mayor and said this is the right thing to do. They cannot use a city to indefinitely hold people for no reason and have us absorb the cost. If they want someone and they know they're a criminal or they suspect, all they do is go to court and get a judicial order, and then they release us from the liability of holding someone unjustly for the sake of them figuring out what it is they want to charge them. This is about the core of protecting our democracy, and that people are innocent until they're proven guilty, and that people will be given due process. And, unfortunately, we're now part of the national rhetoric, and again, the mayor and I want to continue to support him to stay strong. What we're doing is protecting who we are and what our democracy stands for. And for the federal government and for the political folks in the political season to utilize Philadelphia as an example, well, guess what? I'm proud of this example. We have the most progressive, most welcoming political policy. They can get anybody they want, anytime they want. Our position is we should not be the tools by which we violate people's rights, and that they should follow due process. And it is a shame. I am just not surprised, but continue to be disappointed about how ugly we get in the name of putting forth leadership and wanting to lead. Leading is about justice, whether you agree with the policy or you don't. For those of you who are lawyers, it is about due process. So I thank Councilman O, and I think that any entertaining of any punishment for disagreeing in a democracy goes against the core of why we are elected officials and why we run. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. There are reports of committees. There are no committee reports for today. We will now have consideration of the calendar. The next order of business will be the consideration of the calendar. There being no bills on the first reading calendar, the chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee for the purpose of calling up the resolutions and bills on second reading and final passage.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The following resolutions and bills are being called up from the second reading and final passage calendars today. Numbers 160791, 160795, 160799, 160708A, 160330A, and all the resolutions and bills are being held.
Thank you, Councilman. That brings us to our public comment, and thank you. Before considering these resolutions and bills, we will consider the public comment as follows. Your comment must be concerning the matters on the second and final reading of passage calendars for today and possible action in today's public comment and on calendar. All speakers must sign up with the Chief Clerk to my left, your right. You will have 3 minutes, 30 seconds left. The light will turn yellow and red. You will be done speaking. I want to thank you all for joining us here today and engaging and joining us in our public comment and our process. The clerk, would you please read the first person to testify?
Robert Burge, commenting on 160659 and 160365.
My name's Robert Burge. I'm a Philadelphian. Again, I'm again sponsoring Councilman Irwin, Councilman Gear about this having auditing of the public parking authority, and that's a start. We need to do it all to the city. And my other bill was getting the property management of the city to start taking care of the properties. It's very important. A lot of out of center city, there's a lot of properties that are being not taken care of. One instance, Kennington, Kennington, South Philly, North Philly, you know, it's all over the city. We need to start taking care of our properties. And these are people that don't even live in the city. They're people buying the properties here and from out of the city and not caring about them. And that's what's hurting us. Again, we need to start paying attention to that, guys, because it's very important. And people come visiting our city, sees this, and they don't want to put money into the city. They don't want to put money into the city when they see their property, the different parts of the property. People are not taking care of the property. I know for a fact when I first moved into the city that I had some concerns, and I'm interested into the city, but we need to pay attention to that, paying attention and getting our property managing codes up to date. And we need to keep up with our codes and everything. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Jane Golden.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm honored to be here today. Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm always excited, though. So, Philadelphia Mural Arts Program is the largest public art organization of its kind. Let's have a round of applause. There's no city anywhere that has anything like it. Oh, can I start talking? Is this okay? Oh, green. Okay. So for over 30 years, we have united artists and communities through a collaborative and equitable process, creating 4,000 works of art since 1984. Transforming public spaces, but more importantly, individual lives. Mural Arts wants to empower people, stimulate dialogue, build bridges of understanding with projects that attract artists from Philadelphia and around the world, and programs that focus on young people, education, restorative justice, mental health and wellness, and public art and its preservation. We are committed to being part of a movement for positive and equitable change. It's in our DNA and has been the driving concept from the very beginning when we were founded in 1984, and I'm very thankful to our former mayor, Wilson Good, and Tim Spencer for giving me a chance and giving me access to communities throughout the city of Philadelphia. I will be forever grateful to them. The work we do now is different in scope, but our beliefs are the same. Our principles are the same. We've grown and stretched over the years in order to be more responsive to people and communities, to expand pathways for exploration and expression. We've begun to work in sculpture, radio, performance, light. We've taken up residence in several Philadelphia neighborhoods, embedding ourselves there so we can provide services, a wide array of services, opening up storefronts, turning them into hubs and community centers, working in partnership with extraordinary community leaders all over the city. Our iconic collection has earned Philadelphia worldwide recognition as the city of murals. Yet we are not content to rest on our laurels. That would be bad. We can never stand still. We are always changing, striving to experiment and to explore public art in the 21st century and to bring about changes through innovative ways. Oh no, yellow. So we're here today, and I want to thank Councilwoman Cindy Bass, who is awesome, to celebrate October is Mural Arts Month. It's a way to shine a light on the artists, our community partners, all the wonderful people that we work with. In October, we'll have panel discussions, block parties, mural dedications, exhibitions to give everyone across Philadelphia a chance to get to know us better and to participate. We started Mural Arts Month a decade ago. I took the idea from the city of San Francisco. They have a week. It's not enough for Philly. We need a month. Anyway, I just want to, we're doing amazing projects all over the city, and bottom line is, I want to thank City Council. Your support has meant so much. It has given us the the inspiration to just take art and stretch it as far as it can go to bring about change throughout the city. The motto that we have is that art ignites change. We believe it with every bone in our body, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I want to introduce Tiffany Tavares, who is here from PICO and is a board member, and I want to acknowledge David Pedlin, our board chair, who's here. Tiffany! Thank you.
Tiffany Tavares.
Ms. Golden, thank you for your uplifting testimony.
Thank you.
Tough act to follow.
It's you telling me, President. My name is Tiffany D. Caff Tavares, following Jane Caffmated Golden. It's not really fair to actually follow her, but I must say that I share the same vision and passion that she does. Not just she, but our board, our staff, our volunteers, and the thousands of family and youth that work in the city that get impacted by Mural Arts program. So I work for an amazing company here in Philadelphia, PICO. I'm part of the PICO Corporate Relations team, which actually supports Mural Arts. But I'm here today because I have the pleasure and honor of serving on the board of directors for the Mural Arts program. See, my time in the city started when I came to Philadelphia to get a fantastic education at Temple University. And I'm the first person at Temple University ever awarded a full scholarship to for the arts, and I'm the first person in my family to go to college. But prior, thank you. But prior to this great accomplishment, my history mirrored those of many children in this city. I've attended 9 different grade schools, and I've had many in my family die from gun violence, including my own father. In this survival of the fittest world I was born into, now as a Mural Arts board member, I facilitate a system of giving back, of paying it forward, and art created that change for me. Art was my ticket. We strive every day to use art to ignite change the way we see our future, our children, our paths, and of course ourselves. The organization has evolved with the times as well. Our programming and advocacy goes way beyond the wall now. It ignites our vision in the way we look at the world to see a thing that is very hard to see, especially during this time, and that is possibility. Last year, I had the really fantastic opportunity to serve as co-chair of Open Source, one of our most ambitious projects. With that project alone, we brought over 14 international artists to illuminate the city's great diverse and urban communities. we've actually received a little over, I believe, 200 million media impressions. That's not just showcasing mural arts, that's showcasing the city of Philadelphia and all of our advocates, our millions of advocates. So, with Here I Stand following Jane's amazing energy, and I want to thank you, the guests, esteemed City Council members for your ongoing support of this fantastic organizations, and all the different children in this city that are just different versions of ourselves, younger versions of ourselves, that are trying to essentially be where we are right now. We want to create that path for them. So thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
There are no other speakers on the public comment list, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. That concludes our public comment session. We will now proceed with our calendar. Mr. Decker, would you please read the title of 160791?
A resolution declaring the city of Philadelphia to be a bee-friendly city that supports all of our numerous bee species.
And Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll move for its adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. And Resolution 160791 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 160795.
A resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority without consideration deeds conveying conditional fee simple title to certain city-owned lots or pieces of ground with the buildings and improvements thereon, situated in the 19th Ward of the City of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Keona Sanchez.
Mr. President, I move for its adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. And Resolution 160795 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 160799.
A resolution acknowledging the efforts of the Philadelphia Health Department and Board of Health to reduce the high rate of smoking in low-income neighborhoods and calling attention to the intense marketing efforts in these neighborhoods to encourage smoking.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
For the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. And 160799 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 160708A.
An ordinance amending Chapter 193200 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Keystone Opportunity Zone, Economic Development District, and Strategic Development Area, by providing for additional Keystone Opportunity Expansion Zones.
The Chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members may recall that just last week I removed certain properties from the 3rd Council District from the Keystone Opportunity legislation because of issues related to minority participation. During the past week, my office worked, and we couldn't have done it without John Christmas. Thank you. We worked with Drexel University, Wexford, and the Science Center to improve minority participation. We also want to thank you because of what you've done in this area. As a result, we amended the EOP for University City High project and have distributed a new EOP draft for all members, along with an amendment to Bill number 160708A to include the properties that I previously removed. We now have new equal opportunity plan that does 4 things. Number 1, we have higher minority participation goals. They were 32%, now 40%. 2, separate participation ranges for skilled and labor workforce hours. Minority labor hours now 60%. Minority skilled hours 30%. 3, separate ranges for African Americans, Hispanic, and Asian workforce. That is, and so we already, for African Americans, Hispanic, and Asian workforce, and we have now 22% of all hours for Asians, 15% for Hispanic, 3% for Asian workforce, as we just said, the minority participation, 60% for labor hours, and skilled hours, 30%. And number 4, we also dealt with women, and we have skilled 5% and labor hours worked 5%. So we've done our part. We know you've worked on this. I hope Lou's looking down. I'm trying to do my part, Lou. And now we move for the adoption. Now we move for the adoption of the bill.
Second. It's been moved and properly second on the amendment to 160708A. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. The amendment to 160-708A is approved.
Thank you.
Anna, you want to do it now? All right. And the chair now recognizes Councilman Heenan.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of Councilman Squilla, who just joined us here for the sake of speediness, I offer an amendment on his behalf, in addition to the amendment that was just passed, to 160-708A. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members, and I move for the adoption of this amendment.
Thank you. The amendment has been moved and seconded. All in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. The second amendment on Bill number 160-708A has been adopted. This bill, as amended, will be on the next reading of council session for its final passage. Thank you very much. Mr. Decker, please read the title of 160-330A.
An ordinance amending Section 14503 of the Philadelphia Code entitled NCA Neighborhood Commercial Area Overlay District by amending the subsection entitled East Falls Neighborhood and making related changes.
This bill has been heard on 2 separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Blackwell. Councilman Dom. Councilman Green. Councilman Greenlee. Councilwoman Gim. Councilman Heenan. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilman O'Neill. Councilman O. Councilwoman Parker. Councilwoman Corona Sanchez. Councilwoman Reynolds Brown. Councilman Squilla.
Okay.
Councilman Taubenberger. Council President Clark.
Aye. Ayes are 17 and nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative, the bill passes. Mr. Decker, do you have any additional resolutions?
A resolution recognizing and acknowledging the victims of the shooting rampage that happened in West Philadelphia at 52nd and Sansom Streets on Friday night, introduced by Councilwoman Blackwell.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank everyone who's doing something on the issue. We have, as you all know, we had this shooting rampage in my district in West Philly on Friday night, and we introduced a resolution acknowledging the victims who were police as well as others, and frankly, we lost a person, as all of you know as well. But so many in our city are doing great things. I even heard on the radio about people who they're having a meeting in your district on Saturday who were ex-gang members who said we have to come to the table because we have to do what we can to change the world the way it was when we grew up. And so we know these are tough times. I thought we should say something, but I want to say thank you to everybody trying to do their part, and certainly, and with that, we move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring Jeff Brown and ShopRite Partners in Caring for their dedication and commitment to ending hunger in the Philadelphia community and across the country. Introduced by Councilman Jones.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. And for the record, it was signed by every member of City Council. I move for its adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution approving the redevelopment contract of the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority for the redevelopment and urban renewal of a portion of the West Parkside urban renewal area identified by house numbers and street addresses as 1701 through 17, 1702, 1706 through 10, 1712 through 16, 1719 through 29, and 1719 through 29 North 52nd Street, 1718 North Creighton Street, 1722 through 24 North Creighton Street, 5216 Parkside Avenue, 5218 through 5220 Parkside Avenue and 5222 through 5234 Parkside Avenue, introduced by Councilman Jones.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Yes, Mr. President, also on the Jeff Brown piece, it was noted that Bill Greenlee actually bagged groceries, and he was told not to quit his day job.
Wow.
I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
Recognizing October 2016 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Philadelphia and honoring Susan G. Komen, Philadelphia, for his charitable work in the field of breast cancer research and education, introduced by Councilman Johnson.
Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
I move for the adoption of the resolution, Council President.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Education and the Committee on the Disabled and Persons with Special Needs to hold joint hearings regarding the Every Student Succeeds Act, introduced by Councilman Green.
Chair recognizes Councilman Green.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and congratulating Perryman Building and Construction for their being awarded the Initiative for a Competitive Inner City and Fortune Magazine's Inner City 100 honor, introduced by Councilwoman Parker.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Parker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move for the adoption.
Been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing September 21, 2016 as World Alzheimer's Day and supporting Alzheimer's advocates, families, and caregivers in this city and around the world in their struggle for recognition, treatment, and an eventual cure for Alzheimer's disease, introduced by Councilwoman Bass.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring Greta Greenberger on her retirement after 25 years as tour director of City Hall and recognizing her dedication to the promotion and preservation of the history, heritage, and beauty of this city, introduced by Councilwoman Bass.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution declaring October 2016 as Mural Arts Month in Philadelphia, introduced by Councilwoman Bass.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing council's committees on public safety, commerce and economic development, and global opportunities and the creative and innovative economy to hold public hearings concerning recent home invasions and armed robberies that have victimized Asian business owners in the city, introduced by Councilman O.
Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the co-sponsor and Chairman of Public Safety, Councilman Curtis Jones Jr., move for adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution commemorating the 2016 Philly Black Expo and thanking the Philly Black Business Network for cultivating the city's black business leaders, introduced by Councilman O.
Chair one more time recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you. Move for adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring Nicholas Panarella Jr., Esquire, introduced by Councilman O.
Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. I do believe we have... Yes, Councilwoman.
Let me thank, I was talking, not paying attention. Let me thank Councilman Heenan, Councilman Dom, Councilman Jones, Maria Quinones Sanchez, David O., Derek Green, Al Taubenberger, and Helen Gem for supporting my resolution.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
I do believe we have a calendar-related issue. Thank you. recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I'd like to withdraw my leave of absence for today. And I did make it back in time for the vote. And also, I'd like to withdraw an introduction of a resolution for a city occupancy of 549 North 5th Street in the city of Philadelphia.
Make a motion? It's been moved, well, we have to have Mr. Decker read the title first.
An ordinance authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property on behalf of the city to enter into a sublease agreement with the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development for use by the city of premises located at 456 North 5th Street, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. There is a motion on the floor by Councilman Squilla to withdraw. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that is withdrawn.
Thank you.
Per the motion. Councilman Squilla, I've been told that you are qualified to vote on all bills and resolutions that have passed today or that were up on the calendar today. Do you wish to do so now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The record shall reflect that the Councilman Squilla voted aye on all bills and resolutions on today's calendar. We will now have the opportunity to have speeches on the part of the minority. And the chair recognizes Councilman O.
Thank you very much, Council President. I wanted to say that democracy does involve different opinions, different perspectives, and certainly we do disagree. But in trying to fix or correct issues or come up with solutions, it is important that we do try to work together. At the end of the day, however, Philadelphia is in need of funds. Our schools need funds, our streets need funds, our police need funds, our firefighters need funds. There's so many programs that we need funding for. We cannot fix things if we don't fund them. In that regard, I'd like to thank Councilman Tomberger and State Representative John Taylor, Chairman of the Transportation Committee. I did have the opportunity to testify on Friday, and my issue was that the radar speed cameras would end up taking money out of the city of Philadelphia, and while you're ticketing speeders, we won't have the money to fix the problem. And I read on Monday that John Taylor stated that he's amending his bill so that Philadelphia and local jurisdictions will keep half the monies generated from the radar, and that will help us to fix these problems. I'd certainly encourage and ask State Representative Martina White to follow that example. If you disagree with the mayor, that's fine. If you can do something, that's fine. But withholding money to the citizens of Philadelphia hurts the people you're trying to help and does greater harm than good. Finally, with all that's going on, we started a process of trying to figure out how much money the parking authority has for the school district. And I asked for an audit with Councilwoman Helen Gim by the city controller, who cannot audit the entire parking authority, but a portion. That was tabled. I have not made a motion to take it off the table, but I will do so next session. I just wanted to alert my colleagues that I'll be doing so. We will end up voting on that, and I certainly hope, in light of all things, that we get an audit of the parking authority to see where the money is and what's going on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Are there any other speeches on the part of the minority? Are there any speeches on the part of the majority? The chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, let me thank my colleagues, President Clark and Councilman Johnson, for being on the forefront of dealing with the issue of the proliferation of firearms in the city of Philadelphia. They've been on top of their job since I've gotten here with President Clark, and since Councilman Johnson has gotten, they've been putting this in the forefront of the issue. But I rise today to talk about the proposal of House Bill 2258. Once again, a Republican from Harrisburg is telling Philadelphia how to deal with gun violence in our city. In Perry County, where Representative Mark Keller represents, we believe there has only been one murder all year, and my heart goes out, that's one too many murders compared to 208 year-to-date in Philadelphia. So where do these guns come from? Every gun in the United States starts off as a legal firearm, but can quickly become an illegal one in many ways. Each year, thousands of guns are purchased legally, making their way into hands of criminals, ending up killing, often, Philadelphians. The number of guns manufactured in the United States grew from 2.9 million in 2001 to 5.5 million in 2010, which was the highest volume in the history of this country. Where do these guns come from? Sometimes from corrupt firearms dealers. Statistics suggest that criminals purchase these guns from these corrupt firearms licensed dealers, knowing good and well there's a big chance that they will never get caught selling them to people who have nefarious reasons for purchasing them. They do so under the cloak of the NRA, feeling safe that their rights, Second Amendment rights, will be protected by them. Where do these guns come from? Sometimes you can go in a bar and rent them just like in a red box movie that you get. Often, too often, people are coming from out of state. They go to the Carolinas where gun purchases are relatively frequent and easy to do, and then bring them back here. Another way that these guns find their way here are through straw purchases. They are conducted openly in a suggestive manner that a person comes with another person, picks out the gun that they like, the other person with them offers correct and true ID, and then they wind off passing off the gun. Where do these guns come from? Well, I've been to North Philadelphia in Clark's district. I've been to South Philadelphia in Kenyatta's district. I've been to Janie Blackwell's district. I've been to the Hitherlands of the Northeast. And I can't find a gun manufacturing company in Philadelphia. So where do these guns come from? They are often trafficked and done so. There are over 400 guns diverted into illegal, 40,000 guns diverted into illegal migration into our city. So where do these guns come from? Well, let me tell you what they're doing when they get here. To date, we've had 266 murders. And that's up by 9% from last year. Each year, on the 7th floor of this building, the evidence room melts down 3,000 guns that have been used in the commission of a crime. Not in Perry County, not where Representative Keller comes from, but in Philadelphia. So I want to say that there have been over 3,447 assaults with a gun this year, thus far. Most recently, 5 people, as my colleague, Councilwoman Blackwell, talked about, we had murder mayhem over the weekend. 14 people wounded, 2 police officers shot in the span of 48 hours. I watched a movie, a Clint Eastwood movie over the weekend. Only 7 people got shot in the whole movie. Philadelphia County has the largest share of gun violence in any other county in the Commonwealth. So, this is not survival of the fittest. I do support Second Amendment rights, but Perry County ain't Philly County. And when he has his hearings, I'll be there to tell him that personally. So, I want to thank this council for being stand-up men and women in a sit-down world. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman. Are there any other speeches on behalf of the majority? With that, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I move that council stand adjourned until Thursday, September 29th, 2016 at 10 a.m. Thank you.
It has been moved in second to stand adjourned to Thursday, September 29th, 2016, 10 a.m. All those in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.